Good morning. Can y'all turn to the Gospel of Luke? That's not where we're going to end up at the close of this lesson, but we're going to be in Luke chapter 22 to start out. Luke chapter 22. Before we start reading, I'm going to ask y'all a question to recall in your memories. Maybe you've experienced this, maybe you haven't. Maybe you've been the one who provided this blessing, but have you ever been at a restaurant, you're at a table, you've ordered, you've eaten, and it's time for you to go pay for your meal, and you find out somebody else is taking care of it for you? If you've experienced that feeling of, well, I want to pay it back. I don't know. Maybe you knew the person who did it for you, maybe you didn't, or you're just surprised. But that feeling of, I didn't deserve that, but I'm so grateful, and I don't know how to thank the person who did it for me. I feel that way a lot when I think about Jesus and what He did for me on the cross. I know there's no way for me to really say thank you enough. I know I'm not trying to equate someone buying my meal to Jesus dying on the cross for me, but that feeling of, I want to say thank you, but I don't know how. I'm grateful. Proverbs chapter 16, or Proverbs 16, verse 6, reads, "Unfailing love and faithfulness makes atonement for sin." Atonement is the idea of being brought back, being reconciled, being brought back into a closer relationship with someone. And as Proverbs 16:6 tells us, unfailing love and faithfulness is what does that. That is what makes atonement for sin, or iniquity, as some translations put it. Can you think of anybody who has better embodied unfailing love and faithfulness than Jesus Christ? There is no greater example. Now, Luke chapter 22. Starting in verse 54. Those of us who are Christians and have been Christians for a while, we're very familiar with this story. So they arrested him and led him to the high priest's home. And Peter followed at a distance. The guards lit a fire in the middle of the courtyard and sat around it, and Peter joined them there. A servant girl noticed him in the firelight and began staring at him, that is, staring at Peter. Finally, she said, "This man was one of Jesus' followers." But Peter denied it. "Woman," he said, "I don't even know him." After a while, someone else looked at him and said, "You must be one of them." No, man, I am not," Peter retorted. About an hour later, someone else insisted, "This must be one of them, because he is a Galilean too." But Peter said, "Man, I don't know what you're talking about." And immediately while he was still speaking, the rooster crowed. At that moment, the Lord turned and looked at Peter. Suddenly, the Lord's words flashed through Peter's mind, "Before the rooster crows tomorrow morning, you will deny me 3 times, that you even knew me." And Peter left the courtyard, weeping bitterly. I want to jump to the next chapter. Chapter 23. Starting in verse 34, we're going to hold on to the emotion that we just read expressed on behalf of Peter. In chapter 23, verse 34, Jesus said, "Father, forgive them, for they don't know what they're doing." What's the context of that verse? Is he already there on the cross? Everyone who was in earshot was who Jesus was talking to. And everyone who is in earshot, the words as we're reading them now, is who Jesus was talking to. The difference between Peter and Judas, both betrayed Christ. But only one of them would come to know what reconciliation felt like. We know the story of Judas and that he took his life. Atonement is paid for by unfailing love and faithfulness. At this moment, we're called to the table to remember the body of Christ and the blood of Christ, because it was those things that purchased us back into a relationship with God. Because of Christ, we can know what atonement feels like. Thank you.